Hi everyone, this is Warren from the Rhapsody Piano Studio. Wrong channel, but in any case, welcome to this channel. Today's live stream, we're going to be talking about the circle of fifths. Now, before we officially start, if it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you catch whenever these live streams go live. And if there's something you want me to cover in a future live stream, make sure to let me know that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The circle of fifths. What is the circle of fifths? Well, I'm going to give you the official Wikipedia definition. It's a way of organizing the 12 chromatic pitches. And if you don't know what a chromatic pitch is, just think of it as the cross section of the 7 white keys. And is there 7? All right, I should know this as a teacher. And 5 black keys. Okay, so if you notice here, this is a poster that I got from Amazon. I'll put a link to the description if you want this poster. It's kind of pricey, so you don't have to get it. There are plenty of free materials that you can get online with the circle of fifths. So if you just want to go the more affordable route, you can go ahead and do that. But it's a really nice poster, as you can see. So you see that we go from C major to G major, D, A, E, and all the way. So if you notice, what's useful about learning this way with the circle of fifths is that if we start from C, there are pretty much 0 accidentals. So if we go right, we're adding 1 sharp at a time. So the next key is G, so it's F sharp. D, there's 2, 3 sharps, 4, and it just keeps going on until we have all 7 of them, I believe. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you go in the opposite direction, and this is a cycle of fourths, circle of fourths. If that doesn't make sense to you, I'll go ahead and explain that later. So if we go in the opposite direction, we have adding 1 flat at a time. So from F major, we have B flat, 2 flats, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flats. Okay. Now, moving on. Like I said, it's just 1 accidental at a time. So they go up a fifth if we're going in from sharps, right? So from key signatures with a lot of sharps. So if we're going from C to G major, that is an interval of a fifth, and hence the name circle of fifths. If that doesn't make sense to you, let me go ahead and demonstrate. So you see one from C to G, 5 keys across, okay? Now, what's interesting is if you reverse it, if you go down, they become fourths. That's why if you look up here, if we go with the flats, right, it's called circle of fourths. But anyway, so if we go the opposite direction, let's say continuing with a C major, so instead of going up to G, if we go down to G, it becomes a fourth. So it really doesn't matter. It's just if you go down, you go 4 intervals at a time. So for instance, if we went from G to D, that's a fourth. D to A, that's a fourth as well. So it just depends on what direction you're going. Now moving on to flats, if you go up, let's say from F to the next key, which is B flat. So F to B flat, that is an interval of a fourth. Now, interesting with this, if we go down F to B flat, now it's an interval of a fifth. All right. Now, I said before, when you're learning, let's say things like sheet music, when you're trying to learn how to read notes, that you do not want to learn the mnemonic for those, okay? But in this case, you do want to learn a mnemonic just so you know what the order of the sharps are. And this is the mnemonic that I teach my students. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And you notice it's always going to go in this order unless it's some weird 20th century material. So it's always this order. So if you see, like, say, 3 sharps in a key signature, it's always going to be F, C, G. And the sentence to memorize for that would be fat corgis go down alleys eating burritos. Okay. And the mnemonic for flats is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. That's the order of all the flats. Same thing. It's always going to be in this order. And if you look at the first, B, E, A, D spells like a necklace bead. Then G, C, F, gum, candy, fruit. Really handy to memorize in this order. Now, that's pretty much it for the circle of fifths. Don't really need to go too much into detail, although I'm going to give a little bit more details later on. We'll go back to the poster. But for now, I'm going to give you some bonus tips on how to identify key signatures. So this is for all the key signatures with the sharps. These are all the major keys. So we have C major, G major, D, A, E, B, F sharp, and the last one, C sharp major, which has all the sharps. Remember, I did this as a circle of fifths. So by the time you get to C sharp, you have all of them. Now, how do you identify it? Well, let's say you don't actually have the key signature, but you know it's in the key of whatever key that you're in. So let's say this one, if you're in G major, the rule is you just go down a half step. So you notice I'm starting on G. So that whatever your that half step is, it tells you the last sharp of whatever key you're in. So G only has one sharp, obviously. So then you know, oh, it has F sharp. But let's go with something a little bit more trickier. So let's say if you are in the key of C sharp major, you know for a fact that you are in C sharp major. If you want to know how many sharps there are, you start on C sharp, you go down a half step, and that's not C, it's going to be B. B sharp. Okay, let's go back to the the mnemonic, right? So now if we go to the entire order, then you go all the way to B, because remember, if you go down a half step from whatever key you're in, that's going to be the last sharp. So F, C, G, D, A, E, B, it's all of them. Let's do one more. Let's say you're in the key of A major. If you go down a half step from the note A, that's G sharp. So you go back here, you count all the sharps until you get to G, 3 sharps, F, C, G. Okay. Now let's say this. Let's say you're actually looking at the key signature and you see the sharps, but you can't figure out what key you're in. Then you just take the opposite approach. So you're going to take the last sharp. So let's say you only see 2 sharps, right? Well, here, this is pretty much going to be G sharp again. So let's say you only see F sharp. You don't know what key you're in. Then you simply do this. You take the last sharp that you see, and since G only has one sharp, it's basically F sharp, you go up a half step, that gives you the name of the key. So F sharp to G, G major. Let's do one more. Let's say if you see, let's say you see an E sharp, okay? So if you're looking at the key signature, you look at the very last sharp, and it's E sharp, and from E sharp is actually F on the piano, right? So E sharp, go up a half step, that goes to F sharp. Confused yet? Then you go up here, then you count. Was it F sharp? Well, I think I got this wrong. Oh no. Okay, so F sharp. Then you go. I actually did that wrong. Okay, so let's do that again. So let's say you have E sharp, and then you go down. Why am I getting confused about this? All right, let's do a different one. So let's say you're starting with A major, then you go, okay, last sharp. I'm so confused right now. Okay, so using the last sharp, let's say it's G sharp, right? And then you only see G sharp, you go up a half step. Okay, now I know what I'm doing. Sorry. Okay, I was all mixed up. Let's go back to the E sharp example. You go up a half step, then that's F sharp. Okay, I haven't had my coffee today. So you go up, and it's going to be F sharp, then F, C, G, D, A, E. No, wait, that doesn't make sense either. All right, you know what? Scratch that. Okay, let's just forget that altogether. I wish I could edit this out. Now, let's go with G sharp, right? So if you go, let's say the last sharp you see is G sharp, you go up a half step, then you are in the key of A major. Okay, now I understand. So now if you go up a half step from E sharp, you end up on F sharp. You are in the key of F sharp major. I don't know why my mind blinked out like that. But anyway, this is all live. Okay. Let me do another one to make things up for you. And going back to the example of C sharp major, right? Let's say you're counting all the sharps, and then you see the very last sharp that is in the key signature, and it's B sharp, which is actually C. You go up a half step from B sharp, you end up on C sharp. You're in the key of C sharp major. There we go. Okay, now on to flats. I'm going to show you how to identify flats. This is actually pretty easy. Okay, so these are all the keys with major keys with the flats in the key signature. We have C major, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, B flat, or G flat, and C flat major. Now, the only one you really have to memorize is F. So let's go back up to the poster so we can demonstrate. So F is the only one that doesn't have a flat in front of it, okay? Because everything else has B flat, E flat, you see all that. This is the only one you have to memorize. It's pretty easy because it's the first one, which is B flat, okay? Now, simple way to figure out, I mean, I think the flats are actually easier to figure out than the sharps because you don't have to learn all these weird rules. So if you know what key you're in, let's say if you're on the key of B flat, then you just count up to that flat, which is the first one, and you add one more. So it's the key plus one. So B flat, and then add one more is E flat. let's go to D flat, right? So you count it all the way up to D flat, then you add one more. So it's B, E, A, D, one more, G flat. So then we have 5 flats, B, E, A, D, G, okay? Now, let's say you have the key signature. So you're given the key signature, but you don't know what key it is. This is even simpler. You just count the second to last flat, okay? So over here, the second to last flat is A flat. You're in key of A flat major, okay? Same thing when we go down here. Let's do a harder one. Okay, so this one right here, we have all the flats. The second to last one, by the way, these kind of zigzag. So it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. That's how you read it. Same thing with the sharps. So we go over here. It's going down, up, down, up, down. Okay. So it doesn't just go straight across like that. Well, I guess it goes straight from left to right. Okay. So if you take like a little piece of paper or a ruler and drag it across, then that gives you the right order. Okay. So going back to this example, we have all the flats here. You count the second to last flat, which is C flat. Guess what? You're in the key of C flat major. Pretty simple to figure out. Okay. Now, that's it for all the major keys. And I do want to highlight that we have enharmonic keys. Enharmonic keys is basically two ways of saying the same key. So D flat is the same as C sharp major. Let's say physically it feels the same. The only difference is if you're looking at it on sheet music, it visually looks different. So instead of, let's say you're in D flat major, you're just going to see flats. C sharp major, you're going to see just a bunch of sharps, okay? So these are all the same, basically. So let's say if you play a scale in B major, let's go up here, because this also shows you which ones are enharmonic, okay? So if you play a scale in C sharp major, it's going to feel exactly, and of course sound, the same exact notes. It's going to sound and feel exactly as D flat major. Same thing with chords, same thing with arpeggios, like whatever you do. If you're playing a song in C sharp major, it's basically the same thing as D flat major as well. Okay, so that's it for enharmonic keys. Now, last but not least, I'm going to give you the simple rule to figure out what minor key you're in. So this is C major. How do we figure out what the relative, we call it the relative minor, is for C major? You simply go down 3 half steps. So from C, you go 1, 2, 3. What note we end up on? That's A. So we're in the key of A minor. Okay, so if we go up here, gives you, I like it over here as well. They just also tell you what the related minor is as well, right? So we go down 3 half steps from G to E minor. It's the same thing with D, it's B minor as well. What gets a little confusing is over here. So if we go down 3 half steps from B, you're going to end up on a black key. Okay, so it's actually G sharp minor. Okay, so that's where it could get a little confusing when you add those in. And obviously, if you have the actual key, let's say C, okay, and if you know you're in minor, or let's say you're given the actual minor key and say, okay, this is in the key of A minor. How do you figure out what are the accidentals? Well, you kind of translate it to what the original major key is, and then you see here 0. So there are no accidentals here. So it's an easy way to figure out the amount of sharps as well. It's like you're gonna have to do that like in the beginning, okay? So let's say if you are in the key of F sharp minor, it's like, okay, if I just say, hey, what are the sharps in F sharp minor? Then the first step you're going to do is you're going to take F sharp, you're going to go up 3 half steps. So up 3 half steps from F sharp is A. That's in the key of A major. So F sharp minor has the same exact amount of sharps as A major. That's how you're going to have to do it at first. When you get more experience, then you're not going to have to depend on these rules. And the same thing applies with the flats as well. Same exact rule. So if we are in the key of E flat major, you go down 3 half steps. This is C minor, okay? And we go to the opposite case. Let's say, okay, tell me all of the flats that are in E flat minor, okay? So you start from E flat minor, 3 half steps up. You go to G flat major. So it's B, E, A, D, G, C. Those are all the flats for the entire key of the minor. That's why they're called related, relative. They have the same accidentals, okay? So that's basically it for this video. It's kind of a short one by my standards. Hope you guys enjoyed that, except for my flub in the middle of that. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can catch whenever these live streams go out. I try to do one on a weekly basis. I'm getting tired, all right? But I'll put this content out as long as it's valuable for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, share this with someone who would get some benefit out of it. Also, let me know what you want to learn in the next live stream as well. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Happy practicing. Hey, Charles, thanks a lot. Bye now.